All right, welcome to part 2 of this video. I'm now going to start by showing you a simulation of photosynthesis so we can get a little bit clearer idea of what is happening during photosynthesis. So first of all, what I want you to do is I want you to predict or review what things does a plant need to grow. And so think about any things that if you were trying to grow a plant, what do you think that plant would need to grow? Things that you may give it and things that it may get from the environment. Go ahead and pause the video, and then once everyone in your group has answered question number 1, you may push play. Okay, so now that everyone in your group has answered, please make sure you don't move on until you've finished question number 1. I'm now going to show you a simulation. The first thing I want you to observe is that I'm going to water the plant, and I want you to observe what does it start releasing. So we are going to look here. This is a kid and her plant. They each use each other, and we're going to look to see why. So I'm going to go ahead and water the plant. And I want you to observe what is the plant releasing. So look at this key up here and decide what do you think the plant is releasing. You can go ahead and jot your ideas down here, pause the video until everyone in your group is done. Okay, so for part 2, I'm now going to have the child breathe carbon dioxide towards the plant. And then I want you to tell me, does the plant start releasing oxygen? So this girl, she's got some little red dots coming out. And so she is now going to be releasing carbon dioxide. Okay, and once both of these things happen, we'll see here, still nothing happens, okay? And so what the last thing we need to do is we are going to now open the blinds. And once we do that, we see that what does the plant start releasing? What is coming out of the plant that the girl needs to breathe? And you can use this key to find out. And so based on that, I want you to tell me what must occur in order for the plant to release oxygen. What things does the plant need? And I'll show you a couple different parts. So we saw here, if I put the shade down, there's no oxygen. Okay, if I open the shade, now we have the green oxygen molecules coming out. If I keep the shade open, but maybe I'm going to stop watering. So let's reset this. Let's keep the shade open. I don't water the plant, but I just breathe. Okay, and she's breathing out carbon dioxide. We see we still don't have any oxygen released. Similarly, if I water the plant and have the sunlight, we have water flowing through the plant, but we still don't have oxygen being released. The only way to have oxygen released is to have both carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight coming into the plant. And so those are actually the starting materials that plants need in order to do photosynthesis, okay? And so I want you to tell me, why didn't John Van Baptiste Hellman reach the correct conclusion about where the mass of the tree came from in his experiment? Go ahead and pause the video now and discuss this with your group. And once your group has an answer, you can push play. Okay, so hopefully what you realize is that John Baptiste was incorrect because he only stated that plants took in water. We know that plants actually take in water, carbon dioxide, which we just saw was abbreviated as CO2, and sunlight. And so all of those things are what contributed to the increase in mass of the plant. Okay, so now we're going to look at a second part of the simulation. You're going to watch the animation and examine the images to describe what is happening. Okay, so in image 1, we are going to look at this second part of the simulation. It's called the atomic shuffle. So photosynthesis, the trapper of sunlight, is needed for life to subsist. That's a weird word, subsist, but it means it's needed for life to occur and to continue. And so all plants use the process of photosynthesis to make food. And without it, most life wouldn't happen, or desist. I don't know why they're using these weird words. So if you zoom into a tree and look at this leaf, you can see that there are a bunch of water molecules. H2O are water molecules. So the process begins with plain water, but not from the tap does it flow. Some water is made within the leaf cells and some is sucked up from below, meaning when it rains, the soil sucks it up. You don't have to write anything in the first box. So the second box we see here, and I'm going to replay that. If you notice, you have all the water molecules and then it separates out. The hydrogen separate out to one side and then the oxygen separate out and they actually disappear. Okay, and where do you think that the water, the oxygen, and if we see there, they're bonded as two oxygens bonded together, they disappear. They're actually released into the atmosphere. And so if you come here, you see that oxygen, hydrogen, and oxygen molecules oxygen and hydrogen molecules separate, and then we see here, where do the oxygen molecules go? They are released into the atmosphere. And I realize we skipped this one. Where did the water molecules come from? Go ahead and jot that down. You should know from rain or made by the plant itself. So now we're going to continue with the simulation. You can pause the video here if you need more time to catch up. So here you see carbon dioxide molecules. So meanwhile, carbon dioxide has entered through holes in the leaf called the stomata. The gas is exhaled by Earth's creatures, including invertebrates. You don't need to worry about that. All you need to know is that we humans, animals, they release carbon dioxide, and plants take that in. So where did the carbon dioxide molecules come from? They came from the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is released by Earth's animals. Can't spell. Okay, so next, you can pause again if you're not done. Next, we see that the molecules rearrange. Carbon dioxide is taken in and it goes through changes. The atoms get pulled to and fro. If it loses an oxygen, which sticks to two hydrogens, together they form water molecules. And so when we say what is happening here, we would say carbon dioxide or water molecules are formed. Okay, and so but the plant has a goal that is bigger in scope. And so what it does is it actually rearranges again so that the carbon, the hydrogen, and the oxygens can all rearrange this really complex molecule that is called glucose. And glucose is actually sugar. Glucose, that's not how you spell it, is formed in the plant. Glucose is sugar. And that is the plant's food. That is how the plant makes its own food. Okay? And so what we see here is this is actually the chemical formula. We have water plus carbon dioxide. And remember that third thing we need here. You could tell your neighbor if you know it, the third thing a plant needs in order to make oxygen over here would be sunlight. This is called the chemical formula. The arrow tells you it separates what you start with and what you produce or end with. So you start with water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight, and you get glucose, water, and oxygen. Okay, and that is why plants release oxygen. They take in carbon dioxide, and that's how they produce their own food. So what do all these letters and numbers? This is the chemical formula for photosynthesis. And we're going to learn all about chemical formulas once we get to our chemistry unit. Okay, so what happened when all three were put together? Go ahead and answer that question. When you took, and by all three we mean carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight, and tell me what happened, and then what was the result? What was produced? Okay, you could pause the video now to answer these. Okay, so the answer for number one, now that you've answered it, stop the video here if you haven't, is that when all three were put together, that oxygen was produced, and the result is that you also produced glucose. And so in these boxes, you're going to write, and again, I can't type in these aren't text boxes. You're going to write that the plant takes in carbon dioxide, it takes in water, and it takes in sunlight. That's what these arrows mean. That's what the plant absorbs. And then what the plant produces is oxygen, which it releases into the atmosphere for us to breathe, and it creates glucose. Now, it actually uses a lot of its glucose, but then when we eat the plant, we're able to get energy from the plant. Okay, now the rest of this, you see I'm reaching my limit. The rest of this, you are going to go ahead and answer on your own, and including the exit slip. If you need help, Miss Lee will have an answer key, and she'll be able to check that for you. So go ahead and continue working and have a great rest of your day.